Welcome everybody to Down and Dirty with the Badger State Tractor Pullers. I'm John Strandley with Ryan Zolik and Greg Elsing here tonight. We have the Smithback family, the Bleeding Green tractor on here tonight. And we'd like to thank our great sponsors of Wet and Camp Transport, Slama Enterprises, Trip Downing, Casper Ag, and Front Street Toys for helping us out. So had a nice visit this weekend with the Smithbacks over at their shop. So I guess unless Greg or Ryan have something, we can let her roll.
I do not.
Everybody, another edition of Down and Dirty with the Badger State Tractor Pullers. This weekend we're in Utica, the metropolis of Utica. And as I drove through Utica, I noticed the street lights aren't flashing anymore. That spring is here, the lights are green, and where would we want to be but next to the old John Deere here on Crobby Road. So welcome everybody. Thanks for letting me come out. Why don't we introduce ourselves?
Jay Smithback.
David Smithback.
John Anderson.
Paul Davis.
So here with the Smithback family and the guys that help out behind the scenes that help make this go. How long ago did this start?
2003, John. If you probably remember the history as good as I do. It's the old original Die-Hard chassis that we purchased from Craig and Kurt down there and switched it from the pro stock that it was to the Super Farm division.
And the rest is history.
It is.
Since then.
It's been a while and stuff. So, but
there's a few years ago, 22 years.
Yep. It's been a while, but it's been good times and stuff. And we really enjoyed our trip to Louisville this year too.
You guys had an excellent year in Louisville this year. Made the finals.
Yep.
And just making the finals is
outstanding.
Yeah.
Yep. Second preliminary night, and we were fourth in the finals there. And the finals and stuff, I probably should have had the boat 1 foot to the left, and we could have possibly got there. But it was a great weekend, and got to thank the guys here for going with us and helping us. So
it takes a tribe to help make it run. It's not just two people or whatever. It takes a lot of people to help make things go.
yeah,
Makes it easier.
all the time, not just Louisville, all the time.
Right, and traveling to all the polls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you ended up fourth in the finals, and just to get to the finals and up fourth, that's a pretty good Louisville trip.
Yes, it was.
We were definitely happy, especially on Thursday night with all the years we went down there. My brother-in-law Adam, he drove and made the finals, and then we had motor problems the one time, but he ended up fourth, so we never ended up on the podium. And so out of all the trips to Louisville and all the years watching, that was the first time up on the podium. I think Dan showed us happy. He was dancing.
It was worthwhile.
And it takes a lot to go down to Louisville just to get ready for a winter pole, in itself. It takes more, by the time you get the pipe, everything's set up. And to go down there, and the setup's different than what you normally run in the summer for Louisville for you guys.
Big time.
Much different.
Yeah. But
so no intercooler down there. You got to run their fuel and water.
Yep.
Yes.
So even dynoing, it changes everything. Does it, their fuel and your fuel may be different. And
When we went down to Blackbirds this year, thank God Josh got us in, because it seems like as the turbochargers have gotten better and everything throughout the years, the turbochargers have went from intercooled to non-intercooled. It's really, I know some guys are going a lot farther than even we did. Luckily, we've with Riverside engines, we've got a very universal combination, I think, that works very good on both. And when we first started on the dyno, it would have been go down there and just donate your time. So it was very lucky to get some parts and get some runs on it, and I think we made about 10 passes on there. And it was Monday morning. I went down, made one last pass, made one change, and Josh says, "Get out of here, you're good." That's a good feeling. So,
funny how the dyno guys know that.
It is.
It's good. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
You're good. Move along.
It's always a good feeling to get kicked out of the dyno. Get out. Like you're good.
before you break something.
Yeah.
That's good though, and a lot of everybody uses a dyno nowadays to tune them in and get them dialed up. And you guys have dynoed before, but how many years has it been since you dynoed?
This time we were in 2021. We dynoed a little bit before the Louisville. We did that year. 2020 we dynoed the intercooler setup. before we won the points championship in 2021. But prior to that, it was 2007. We were out at the Cavan family out
Norm
in
Cavan.
Cedar Bluff, Nebraska, and great people to work with out there. Also, it was a little bit of a long haul, but not gonna lie, there was not as many dynos back then. Also, and getting into Kevin Engel Kings and some other guys, they were booked so far out, and that's partially why we went out there. And definitely another great family in tractor pulling to go spend a week out with, and Norm and Sandra and Steve and Justin. They're really nice people out there as well.
And Blackburn's, that's so far away. What is it, about an hour and a half?
Yep, hour and a half. Yeah, that's oof. It's
Yeah.
pretty
All
much,
downhill from here.
yeah, it is.
Right.
Terrible fuel mileage coming back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming back.
It's really neat to be on the dyno when you keep the wheels on.
Yeah,
Stuff
that's
you know exactly what you're getting to the track. Exactly. Through the transmission, through the rear end, you know exactly what's there.
that had to be kind of weird from before, huh?
Oh boy, yeah, it's a different feeling, you know, when you start winding her up the first time, and you know you're staring at a wall, and Josh has got a green light, red light in front of you, and you know, Josh walks you through it real good and says, you know, hey, just don't like sidestep the clutch. Just drive it just like you're going to outside. Don't sidestep it, because you can throw the balance of the dyno off a little bit, and it takes a little longer to steady itself out so he can start the load and everything. It's the closer you drive it to outdoors, the actual better it is for the dyno, the machine, and everything that way. And yes, it's a real weird feeling the first couple times to get used to laying the throttle full and lifting your foot and you're not going anywhere. But you can still feel it when you're making power, though. I'll tell you that. And so it was a really cool experience, and I mean, all the guys down there were great help. I mean,
Very good people.
yeah. And so like I said, we were blessed with how busy they were that they snuck us in on a weekend too. It was literally the tractor was sitting down there, and Josh said, I got an opening, let's go, like, be here tomorrow morning. Like, okay, on my way. Like, so
Load it up and roll.
yeah, all the tractor was sitting down there already.
Paul went with
Oh.
too.
Yeah, so Paul went and helped me down there and whatnot, and
Got
so
the phone call. What are you doing?
yep.
Yep.
So,
Let's go.
Yep.
Paul was the scapegoat then.
yep.
Yep.
I don't think Angie was very happy with him on Sunday night when we got back at 1:30 in the morning. I said, "Are you going to sleep on the couch?"
So 2003, and you got how many points championships? 2013 was one, 2021,
2015.
2015.
Yeah, there's three of them on the wall, and we took second in the nation on the PPL Tour back in, what year was that, Jay?
2007.
2007.
2007, we were
Second.
second in national
Yep.
and second in Badger
State
State, and
that
that was
year,
when there was no hooks that overlapped. You could make every one, and I do believe
No conflicts.
I do believe between the two organizations, I remember, I think Gallitz's, Schradel, Slama, us, Coots, Baru, and Punky, and Creedy, I think we hit every one of them, and we made all of them. And I wanted to say there was like 42 or 43 overall hooks.
It was a lot.
I mean, to keep stuff together and keep it rolling that year was, and we started the year out in North Carolina.
Yep.
So I mean, on the Champions Tour, and that was a lot. That was, but
Awesome year.
it was certainly fun campaigning them though back then. I mean, that was when Force Lucas got involved when it switched from ATPA to PPL and everything, and it was exciting times to watch the world of pulling accelerate at that pace and be a part of it, because I mean they really pushed the envelope in a lot of aspects, and it was a lot of running, but it was fun to be a part of.
It was really nice when Creedy went with us too. We had two tractors with us. We had another driver and stuff, and Creedy was fantastic going and stuff with us too. Pale Rider was a good tractor.
Yep, the old 1066.
Yep.
So how long you guys been helping out?
I started with these guys end of 2016, 2017 season.
Yep.
And started out just helping out with tools and in the shop and going some pulls. And the 2023, they gave me an opportunity to get on the seat in Waupun at the end of the year, PI pull, and I was able to drive first time up there. And then
And won it.
and yeah, first pull and won it. And then I was a backup driver last year with them for Badger State. So it's been a great experience to be able to have that opportunity. It's not something everybody can do. So
No. Paul, you've had time to think now. I see you over there. You're about ready to take your shoe off to count.
I can remember when I started. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Wow.
It's been a while.
You were,
We ran a lot of the Champions Tour stuff back then.
yep,
Okay, how long have you been neighbors?
Oh.
Since 2000.
yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
So
it probably one,
started in 03 then.
two, yeah, because I had the
What is the sled guy's name?
Because we went bringing the engine.
Yeah,
So
you-
it had to been in 02, 03.
Oh, this is where the story starts.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What was the sled operator's name?
Dave Hager.
Dave Hager. Paul and Dave Hager are really good buddies. Oh, yeah. Paul said he didn't want any more to drink. Dave Hager gave it to him and said, "You just drink."
And then he turned and smiled at me because Paul thought he was still serious. Like Paul didn't even dare say no, and Hager just kept feeding him beer.
That sounds like a good day.
Next thing you know, Hager turned to look at me and he goes, "You really don't know me that good. I'm just screwing with him, but I got a buffalo now." Paul goes,
Poor Paul.
"Poor Paul."
Yep.
Initiation was tough.
Then I left the fan on in the semi when I fell asleep in there, and he had to wake up to the fan turning on every 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Good days. He was on the road with us quite a bit back then and stuff, so.
Yeah.
I was the home person. Those guys took off and
Yeah.
stuff.
You drove too though last.
Last year,
Yep.
the first time in Waupun, I didn't get first.
Well, Pond.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's,
Well, Ponza.
that's the hot spot for the
That's
first
the hot
timers.
spot.
It's a hot spot. Yeah, this tractor likes Waupun.
Jay drove the first time ever in Waupun. I drove the first time ever in Waupun, and I became a fold-out in Full Pull magazine by Photo Joe.
That's right.
And stuff. I got in a pull-off that night up there and stuff. So everybody here, the first time they've ever drove has been in Waupun, and it's a nice place to pull.
Yeah, that's always been a good pulling track there.
Yep.
Otherwise, like I said, it's kind of it's the end of the year. I don't know. It's kind of, when we kind of started this, I was like, oh, let's put everybody on a pond for the first time with all that. It's,
Well, I even remember the day John Stranley drove the tractor.
It wasn't in
and stuff.
Waupun though.
No, that was Oshkosh.
No, it was Stoughton.
Stoughton first, but then you did a really good job in Oshkosh under Badger State that night.
Yeah.
When we were up there paying the dues for John to drive. All of a sudden, there's other drivers behind us laughing. The announcer's going to drive. John showed him how to drive that night.
Yeah, we got
Inches out of second, or inches out of first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we got third, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah, we got Tom Gallantz went sliding by, and so
Yep.
did Punky.
Yep, right at the end.
Yeah.
Stuff.
yeah, and at that time, I think both of them were committed to the Champions Tour also.
They were
so
too,
We
yeah.
were,
Yep.
we were the
It was
Badger
a full
State.
house that night because Slama was there, and
Snickering.
there was a whole bunch of them that were there from the Champions Tour that night.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah, you did a great job up there. You did a great job in Stoughton too that
I
day.
still wish I had a microphone so I could have fully heard what John was saying to me when I got off the tractor the first time he drove.
Oh, yeah.
Because he says, "Hey,
Yeah.
at what RPMs do I start bringing the tractor out at?" And I said, "I don't know. The tack hasn't worked in 2 years." And I heard a bunch of, and I just took off running. I said, "I wonder what he's saying to me right now." It's not calling me the Parks Department supervisor, I'll tell you that.
Well, I remember the first time you drove in Waupun. You were in school that day. We got up to Waupun that night. You had never drove the tractor. Craig and I just finished the tractor.
I had a playoff baseball game.
Yeah. So we get up to Waupun that night and stuff, and Jay gets on the tractor and drives it to the scale, and he draws number 10. Well, Craig says, watch the first guys and stuff, then you'll know what they're doing. Number 10 happens to be first hook. So Craig says, well, good luck. Just drive it like you stole it.
Whatever.
And it worked out pretty well and stuff.
Ended up second.
Yep, ended up second.
I remember looking at Craig's face, and he just kind of looked at me. Oh, good luck.
Good luck.
Not much you can say anymore at that point. Like,
Only one way to learn.
he's sitting there telling me. I remember he said, "Watch this guy. Watch how he just lifts his foot
couldn't
nice
watch
and
anybody.
everything." And then nope. And They pulled me across the scale. The first time I drove it was onto the track.
Onto the track,
But
yep.
you guys had a basically kind of a too hot to farm tractor for a
Oh,
while
yep,
too.
yep.
That was what, 4255?
4255, yep.
How long did you guys have that?
Oh, 5 or 6 years, I think it was. And we had a blast. That was fun and stuff. And we just went wherever we wanted to and stuff, you know, and it fit all the rules, what was going on at the time and stuff. And we just had fun. And
Brush pulls wherever.
absolutely and
Yeah,
stuff.
Brooklyn and
Sauk City was one of the
Deerfield.
best
Was it?
ever.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Sauk City was
Marshall.
the best.
I mean, you could go any weekend.
Utica,
Yep.
Brooklyn.
All over.
Yep,
You
yep.
know,
I think we
all
went
the-
over to
all the
Lebanon a
festivals.
couple.
We're in Lebanon.
Lebanon, Jefferson. We go
Yep.
to Jefferson the afternoon one.
Yep.
Elkhorn, always.
Elkhorn,
go
yeah, we're down
take
there
the
and
whole
stuff.
day and take
Yep.
everybody down there.
Yeah.
I remember my sophomore year, me and Eric Evenson got in trouble because we skipped baseball practice or
to
football
go
practice
tractor
to
pull.
go down to Elkhorn to tractor pull. But coaches weren't exactly thrilled with us on that.
Yeah.
one, so.
And you guys watching, and you've been around it forever. You know, to be around it and work on it and to get in the seat, that's a totally different story, isn't it?
Yeah, you kind of get an aspect from being on the sidelines of what it's supposed to sound like and everything. So once you're on the seat, it's a whole different sound and everything.
Yeah, to put it all together.
Yeah,
And then
so-
the feeling of it.
Right.
The feeling
Yeah.
of it and the feeling of the clutch and,
Yep.
you know, because it's wanting to go.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want it to go yet.
Yep. One of the main things that Jay had said when we got on it was that clutch is going to be your biggest fight, and he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
So that when it gets over 3,000 RPM, it really starts coming on. So
You guys run a pedal clutch or no?
Yep, 4-disc. We just last year went to
Went to
4-disc pedal
4-disc?
clutch, 'cause Darren said, Jay, you're awfully hard on clutches. He said, and, he said, maybe we should try to sneak a 4-disc in there. And,
You had 3-disc before, yeah.
yeah, and we would.
We'd wreck them.
You'd lucky to make a season out of the 3-disc.
yeah, 10 to 12 passes, we were putting one in it. So
You're hard on stuff. Is that the moral of the story?
Oh, if there's a weakness, I'll find it.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
yeah, the beginning of 2024, we did that 4-disc, and it's still that
That's
clutch.
still
So
on in there.
we did it. We just adjusted
Wow,
it.
still in there
Something
for
you can't
Louisville.
break.
Yeah.
We adjusted it for Louisville, and it worked out. So
Seasoned.
yeah.
Who helps you guys out with the program? I know you talked about dynoing at Blackburns, but who else helps you out with motor, you know, tire, it could be whatever.
Phil at Riverside has been superb since we started with him. I mean, 2002, we ordered a motor from him, and we're on the same block and stuff yet. The motor has been out there a few times, but he's been superb for us and stuff. And then Mark Korth on the tires.
Yeah.
If they're-
K3 tire?
Oh, K3, yep. Mark is fantastic and stuff. Did everything he can for us.
Oh, Mark, Greg. That's the one thing with Mark is more of a friendship. We could have. It's about 3 minutes of talking about what we want to do with the tires and everything, and the rest is BS and having a good time. Same with Phil nowadays, and his son Keith.
Keith
came a long ways here and is doing a lot more now too. So I talk a lot with Keith too nowadays too and whatnot, and I mean years ago we helped do injectors for Brandon Hart, a bunch of testing years ago. Brandon's always been good to us. Apex turbos and everything out there. We've done some work with them, and they've been great to us. Fair Valley Performance up there, they've helped us out in buying over the time, and like I said, Mark Colbert, definitely we dynoed there for a couple of years and stuff, and I mean we've been blessed with. And Ken, no matter what, it all started K&K. KD Specialties, Angler, I mean, them are the OGs, too, where it all started. So, I mean, without them guys, over 20-some years of tractor pulling, guys go in and out of tractor pulling, there's look at Columbus Diesel. They were the biggest in the sport for how many years, now they're just gone. So, I mean, everybody kind of divvied out and,
go different ways.
Yeah, and luckily we've been good enough to have great relationships with a lot of these people for a lot of years, and like I said, I don't have never never had a problem with any of them, man. It's and I get it how busy they are, and you know, it's nice to get a phone call back, you know, and you know, as you know, I was so young when we started and everything that you know, a lot of these guys, and they were younger when they first started their businesses and everything. So you know, I mean, I can remember their families at pulls and you know, meeting them and you know, staying in the same hotels and all that, you know, when I first started. So you know, there's that aspect of it too, and
Another person I got to thank over the years is John Stranley. We've been in this shop totally tore down at 2 o'clock in the morning to get it ready for Utica Fest. John Stranley was our main helper and stuff. I had to buy him I had to buy new snap ring pliers for him though. He broke every one I had, but I had to get those for John. But
there's a whole actual snap on.
Big snap ring with his little snap ring pliers, and I was catching snap rings, and well, that one's broke. You got any more?
yeah,
You just aren't them cool.
got brand new snap ring pliers because John wanted them for Christmas, so they're in the shop.
Al Paulson was here too, and he
yep.
says, "How many of you broke?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know how many are left." So I told Dave, I said, "I don't ask for Christmas presents, but this Christmas, can you buy me something like Craig has?"
Yeah, it's in the shop now and stuff. So.
I'll tell you one thing over the years. Boy, if this thing could ever have an issue at the worst times ever, it always does. And
Oh, yeah.
and you know, some guys just don't have the energy to put it together or anything. But I'm not gonna lie, you get a good crew of us going together, and you get it tore apart, and everybody knows you ain't gonna sleep all night anyways. And then you get the riffraff coming from the beer tent when that closes up and everything. And hey, Kristen,
Yeah, she's sleeping in the roll cage. With the helmet on.
Oh goodness! And all you can do is laugh, and next thing you know, you're putting the cylinder head on and torquing it, and the sun's coming up, and you're like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad, I guess." Oh,
Yeah, let's go.
yeah, let's go.
But can't thank you enough for helping on that stuff, John.
That was a lot of fun.
That was
Jack's pizza,
lot of years of
some Jack's pizzas.
wrenching at night,
yeah.
and that's the thing over the years, you know, pulling is a lot of the pulls are won right here in the shop.
Yeah.
So you know you got to get everything together, and that's what the fans don't get to see is, you know, you see it track, see the tractor at the track, but sometimes getting it there, you know, or trucks, it takes an all-nighter once in a while.
Everybody's had an issue. If you've pulled, you've had an issue and stuff. Sometimes it's even at the track, getting out of the semi and stuff, going to the scale, you've had issues. But there's a lot of people that help you, which really makes it great.
Yeah,
The fans get to see the finished product, and they'd.
it's all the diesel fuel and oil and
Not gonna lie.
sweat behind you.
Not gonna lie, there's that and some laughs and some itching and scratching the head and going, what are we doing? Or it's all combined.
What about, do you guys have some sponsors you'd like to thank too?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, Hitchstock was our big sponsor, the Travis Seed Tenders this year. They helped us out in Louisville. They're going to go on for this summer again with us and stuff, of course. And we've got the K3, Apex Turbos, throw in
Riverside.
Riverside, yep. And
Hearts and
Josh Blackburn, you know, Hearts has been good to us and stuff. So, and Mark Kohlberg's been good to us over the years and stuff. And I still have to throw in Craig and Kurt down there because if I need a part in a hurry, he's usually got it and stuff. So, which is fantastic and stuff. So,
You guys forgot one, and I'm going to get 10 bonus points for this.
okay.
Tammy.
Oh,
We hadn't gotten to the.
oh shit!
Did you hear that? You hear? Yeah.
Hey,
I was waiting for her to come down.
yeah.
He's backpedaling over there, boys.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
John, you
Tammy. We got to thank Tammy.
John, you can remove your lips. No, but yes, of course. I mean, Mom. Oh God, yes. I mean, over all the years of having the dogs and staying home with them and everything, and to being supportive and getting there, and you know, oh God, there's I mean, the bosses. That's for sure.
All the bosses at home
Yep.
and stuff. So they've helped a lot.
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Angie's helping.
Yeah,
a lot.
Angie, we got to thank Angie. Yeah.
And our little new boss just left, my little buddy, Jay's son, Weston.
Yeah.
He's 20 months old. He just left before he got here. If you would have got here earlier, he would have got in on the video for 5 minutes and stuff. But he comes up and he's got to touch the tractor every time
Does
and
he?
stuff just to make sure it's his.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's there.
yeah, that's the next generation and stuff.
Yep,
So
and John's son Casey
Yep.
was 1 week old. They're exactly 1 week apart. Casey was born the Saturday before Utica Festival, and Weston was born. We won, and Jen wasn't feeling good, and we went to the hospital, and Weston was here at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah, that day, and let's not forget how that day started. Because
Yeah.
I drove down to Illinois, the transmission in the F-250 took a poop on us. I was stuck in third gear driving all the way home and trying to get home because, there's nobody around to go out and haul it. And I had water pumps for this. We had just stuck a new intercooler on, and two of the three water pumps didn't work. So we had to plumb, what did we end up doing? We plumbed 4 water pumps together to get it to actually flow enough. And we didn't have a drain plugged in. If you watch the video, you can see the pumps and the lines are all zip tied up to the front of the tractor and everything. And we made it down there, and we were last hook and won the thing.
and you won. Yep.
Yeah, we pulled in as the class started, so.
Nothing better than winning your hometown pull. There's nothing better.
That's the toughest one to win.
It is. It is.
You can travel
Yep.
thousands of miles, win, come home, and you get right next to the house as close as you can get, and it's you might as well put that trophy 1,000 miles away.
Yep.
I think when a certain announcer started down there,
Yep.
it kind of got rid of my nerves a little bit. Because
Yeah.
every time I'm
Every
backing
time,
in,
yep.
every time I'm backing in, I look over at the crowd. They're always laughing. and
They're happy. They're happy to see Jay.
I could never understand what's going on until I listened to a video afterwards.
yeah.
Here's the sewer district manager.
You've been the sewer district manager, parks department,
Yeah.
street superintendent.
Yep.
I think you cleaned stoplights the one year.
Yep.
Ball field maintainer.
Ball field maintainer,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, Utica University, you
Yep.
were, you were
UU.
a professor
I
one
thought you
year.
threw in the fire chief or something.
You were
like
the
that.
fire
Yeah.
chief
Yeah.
one year?
You. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh God, that is something.
I think the professor at Utica University was probably the best
That was
one.
probably the best
Right
one.
with the sewer district manager.
The
Yeah.
sewer district manager.
Crappy job.
Yep.
But he smiled.
You know, one of the better places to pull over the years, though, was Macville.
Yep.
We really enjoyed the Macville pull. That was an awesome place to go. I hear they're not having a pull anymore and stuff, but that was an awesome place to go. And we were backing in one year up there and stuff, the year we won it.
Yep.
We were backing in there and stuff, and I had Jimmy backing the sled in, and I give him a little shift to the right. And we aimed the sled to the right. And all of a sudden, that goddamn announcer up on top, Mr. Stranley, says, "Look at there, they're aiming the sled." And we won it on that stuff.
I think they're going to go across the track.
It's like, don't.
You did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, you did and stuff. And
Went from the left to the right.
Yep. But Macville was always one of the favorite places to go. That was a great place. I've never seen crowds so big for a church and
Isn't that
stuff like that.
A couple years ago, I finally got the one off of our back though in Darlington.
Darlington, yep.
Jesus, how many seconds over the years did we have down there? And I think was that 2021
Yeah.
when we finally won down there? I was like, oh man! I said I think I've been second down here like 5-6 times in my life, and somebody's always just snuck just a little bit by, and it was like, oh man.
Isn't that funny how there's tracks like that you know you go to and you just can't conquer it, or one that you're like,
Yep.
man, we never do any good here. We just can't
Yep.
get the setup figured out.
Utica-
But then there's other tracks that you can go to, and it's just like,
Freeport's that track for us.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but we just got this thing down there. God, that thing it locks in. And
Yep.
It just
Like
I don't know. It likes where it heads, and we've over the years kind of found a good spot in that track, and it kind of always seems to be there. And yeah, I mean
We had
been,
a great run this year in Hillsboro on this
Yeah.
second day. Just a fantastic run up there and stuff to win up there and stuff. So, and that's a huge pull to win on. What was it, 23 tractors or something in the class?
we're very lucky with pulling Badger State and PPL and everything, and the quality of sleds, boats, or tracks. and track people. I mean, it's just
keeping tracks together.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're spoiled in this part of the country as pullers. We really are, because there's other parts of the country where guys can go pull, and I mean, there's dust flying everywhere from the first get-go and everything. It's like, woof, maybe we ought to just be thankful for what we got up here. Like,
Our worst track is their best.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because, years ago when this Champions Tour stuff first started and the Super Farm guys, they all had higher gears in them transmissions from down south, and they'd come up to Hillsboro and they would just fall on their face. We were still running. We were still running low gears, but then we'd go down there and we didn't have fast enough gears. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. But there's a lot of good clay. There's a lot of good track builders in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and various other areas, and it just seems. It's an area of horsepower tracks.
I think they've gotten better. I think as these years have come, they've gotten better and they're more in tune to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Even like the fair convention when they've had a couple seminar stuff, training things, and this is what we look for, and this is what the pullers like.
Yep.
I think they've really embraced that, and I think it's gotten better. All of them.
Yeah.
Even Utica's track has gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last 5-6 years too.
You have to do things besides the week of the pull.
Yes.
There's other things year round that you have to do on the tracks and stuff. And if you start adding the volume of clay we did down in Utica to get that track level, it took years to get the track back to near where it was.
Yep.
That track 20 years ago was the best track there was. But we added 4 feet of clay in spots?
There's two times that we hauled dirt in down there.
Oh, yes.
One time when I was hauling, John Halverson donated a bunch of clay, and then Schlobaum did too, didn't he?
Schlobaum
Schlobaum, and then JJ's been really working the last couple of years too, and Warren Loofborough.
Yep, Warren helped a lot.
He helped out a lot on it.
Can't thank Warren enough for helping on that too.
JJ put I think last year's probably the best I seen the track. I don't know if it was
again
combination over the winter and the weather we had and it holding the water or what, but I think it was probably one of the best.
Yeah,
it's hard to do a day track, and
it's hard to do a
play.
day track. Yeah,
and you get
that sun
a
beating on it.
night track. You get a little relief off the track at some point. If you start at 7 o'clock, you only got an hour and a half there that you really got to maintain moisture levels and everything, because a lot of times moisture comes up. Well, the daytime down in Utica, it's just a
hot
fight.
and dry.
It's hard.
And to maintain the track to be more than a one-line track too, and that's a challenge. That's a challenge that day pulls have, and especially a track like Utica where it's good clay. We all know there's a lot of clay in there. We've kind of almost had to backstep a little bit and get some organic material in there, because it would cook too hard, and you couldn't keep on top of it. But it's
Horse
definitely
apples.
what's that? Horse apples.
Yep.
Horse apples.
The mini rod guys love Saturday night though.
Yeah.
That moisture comes up and those guys fly down there.
We did pull under the lights with Super Farm and the trucks the one year.
Yep.
Yeah, the sled broke and we ended up switching. Mini rods pulled first.
Yeah.
And then we finished out with Super Farm and truck Saturday.
That was fast. If I'm not mistaken, Jason Vinny won it and I was second. And I think we were bouncing off of 31 miles an hour under
We were
the lights.
moving that
we
day,
were
yeah.
moving. And I don't think there was a Super Farm runner that wasn't over 30, and it was fast.
The Pioneer corn and soybeans got beaten.
Yeah.
Right?
Our corn gets beat up a little bit at the end, which is great. Those pitchers go all over and stuff. So
Here's farmers planting all that they can plant. Make sure you get that corner cleaned up and get them trees out of the way.
Yep.
And you go to Utica, run her over.
go right through it.
Run her over. Yeah. Usually about, I don't know, got to be 24 rows in there a couple times.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I remember the good old days of Dan Clark and them guys with
trucks,
the trucks. Oh God! And then Jimmy Lutke when he lightened the sled for the pull off that time with Dan and that guy from Michigan.
In Michigan,
and They were what 30 some rows. They had the
whole
boat
boat was in
everything
there.
right out in there.
I went in there with my brother's truck.
Yep,
And
that's right.
as soon
Yep.
as you hit that first row, though, it's kind of a
Yeah.
seat.
Yep.
It kind of
Yeah, it's quite the drop.
It dings you.
Cost me an extra $100 that year when the guys went in that deep, though. Myron wanted $100 more for this corn.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah, I had to pay that. Now I own the corn, and I don't get paid and stuff, so.
Sometimes there's a little side bounty,
Oh, yeah.
you know, from
Oh,
the
yeah.
boys drinking beer around there.
Yep.
I think Orod's been involved in
Yep.
some of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
If we ever get 4-1s or pro stocks in Utica, the 24 rows of corn will be the track. The headlands, we'll take that right off and stuff and make the track longer. We got to get it out to near 400 feet.
You have something like that.
Yep. Which isn't a problem as long as I know ahead of time we can make it work and stuff. So.
And I mean, we've had 4-1s and pro stocks down there. So,
Yep.
I mean, Gallett's came,
Yep.
brought his down there. We
Nick,
pulled our
Nick
pro
Gallitz,
stock.
we talked about Nick driving there the first time.
Yeah, that was the first
Yep,
time.
yep.
Like, Dad gave him a plaque and everything for his
I gave him a
first
plaque
time
for
and
first
everything.
time down there. Yep.
Yeah, that was some.
A lot of first times people driving down there.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, you know, when it was the Sunday run what you brung for pretty much the super farm and the two-wheel drive trucks and Larry Wolf and Punky. And,
Yep.
I mean,
Wolfgang.
I mean, oh God, it was.
I remember when mini rods were Friday night, and then
Yep.
truck and tractor pull on Saturday, horse pull Sunday morning.
Yep.
Remember when they pulled the other way towards the road, though?
Towards the road, too.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. The super farm, the first time they were down there, they're pulling downhill. And they all went up in the high gear that they had, and 2 out of the 6 broke because they were in the highest gear they had.
Caught them by surprise.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Didn't this thing end up almost in the road ditch the one time?
Well, that was when Craig and Kurt were getting it to run as a pro stock,
Yeah.
and they tied the air shut off open stuff. They shouldn't have did that stuff. So
I think they're having trouble when the motor torque had
That's-
pull the cable
Yes.
out.
That's
Yep.
what it was doing.
Yep.
And,
That's when they first got it running.
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd pull the cable on the
I think
shut
the-
off.
I think
Yep.
the one pass, then Kurt aimed between the 2 trees and the front end was.
It was close.
Just about to the tip down on B.
Yep, it was really close and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but it's kind of cool to get a new tractor down there that wants to test hook and stuff. A lot of people like seeing that stuff, and it's great for the fans and stuff. And you get people going in the corn, the fans just go wild in Utica.
Usually Sunday is where the most
Oh yeah,
damage. The run what you brung trucks.
Oh yeah.
They get crazy down
They
there.
get quite the class signed up. So
Yeah. Sundays, yeah, a lot of that going on. But of course, Utica Fest, we might as well chat about that. Usually Friday night is horse pulls. Saturday is South Central PI some too.
PI and stuff. Yep,
and then
PI
Badger
Sunday.
State.
Badger State.
And then the mini rods pull after that, finish Saturday night out.
Yep.
Sunday gets to be the start with the old tractors again, right? Go to PI
Well,
and
this
South Central.
this year a little bit different. The mini rods are going to start Sunday morning. They're going to have a 1 hook class on Sunday morning. I believe it's going to start at 10:30. Then we'll go to Badger Trucks, PI, and I think there's some South Central yet and stuff too. And then the spectator truck classes and stuff.
After that.
Yep, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Bands every night too. You usually got bands Friday night, Saturday night in the beer tent.
Yep.
And then
2 on Sunday.
2 on Sunday.
Yep,
2 different
got-
ones on Sunday.
Yep, we got 2 of them this year on Sunday. Just in case we get a little rain out, we got bands playing all the time. So
It's always got cold beer and
Yep.
music playing.
this is my 35th year running the festival.
How many?
35.
Oh.
Stuff. So whenever John Stranley wants to take over, I'll retire.
I got enough going on with what I do.
Yep.
Yeah. My wife told me at one time, if you do add one more thing to the list, we're done. So yeah, now I know what she means.
Yep. It's a lot of stuff to do.
A lot of things going on.
Yep.
And
But
raise the little guy and all that stuff.
all these guys help down there too, getting everything going. I think we start down there over a week in advance, don't we, Paul? And stuff.
Oh yeah, it's always over. We
Yep.
start setting up stuff.
Yep.
You guys do a lot of the little items that add up to a bunch, ahead of time, and
fencing and getting parking set up. And
fencing, parking, setting up
Yep.
parking, and that's just think of
There's a lot
the
of-
changes that have been down there even the last 10 years.
There's a lot of, there's
phenomenal.
For the 2.5 weeks or so before that, there's just a lot of trips during the day of just odds and
Yep.
ends stuff. Him calling me
Yep.
calling like, oh, you need this down there? Yeah, I might as well run that down there. It's just trying to get some farm stuff done, but still at the end of the day, that kind of takes precedent.
Yep.
Yep.
on-
So speaking of that, you farm
A little bit.
a little bit. Farm a little bit. How many acres?
Oh, we're probably a little over 3,000 and stuff now.
3,000.
Yeah,
And-
we're probably going to lose a little bit because of the solar this year, but somewhere in that area. And then we do a bunch of custom spraying and a little custom planting and stuff too. So and a little seed business.
Little small,
Yeah, yeah.
small little seed
Yeah,
business. And,
38 years I've been a Pioneer sales rep. So
you also have that seed processing in here too.
Yeah, as a seed treater, we got that seed treater back there and stuff. So we treat 12 to 13,000 units of soybeans every year and stuff too. So we've got a lot of them already delivered because there'll be guys planting it next week or the following week for sure. So
Get a little more heat in the ground.
And
a little more sunshine.
and selling
more
seed
sunshine.
tenders.
Yeah, seed tenders. I couldn't believe it. Since April 1st, I think 9 of them or 10 of them came out of here. The hitch dock sent 2 yesterday. The 10,000th one that they've ever built is showing up here, and I have probably sold close to 1,000 of them over the years.
Wow.
And stuff for them.
So there's not a lot of downtime.
No, there's always something to do. If you can't find nothing to do, you ain't looking very hard and stuff. So
Then me and John, we both got tobacco too.
Yep.
So add
That's right, you got-
add that into the mix.
the tobacco division is there. So.
Yep.
How many acres of tobacco you guys running?
Between me and John, it'd be
We're right around 10.
yeah,
10
a little
acres.
over 10 this year.
Yep.
So
And that's something that used to be very, very prevalent around here in this area.
I wouldn't have half of what I got if I wouldn't have had tobacco over the years. Started in 1974. This is my 51st year farming and stuff. So starting in 74, I was still in high school, and without tobacco, you wouldn't have half of what I have today.
It's a good cash crop, but a lot
Yep.
of labor involvement and
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it's just like anything. You get the right crew together, it goes
Yeah.
pretty quick. So.
you guys aren't raising the traditional tobacco that we used to in this area though, are you?
No, the Wisconsin.
It's like the burley tobacco
pouch.
now?
Yeah, there's a burley. It's actually, we've tested quite a few different hybrids and everything, and Philip Morris bought out Swedish Match, and so there's more brokers and everything involved. And we've tried some other types. They didn't like the color necessarily. It don't take far in that region stuff to affect how tobacco cures out and everything. And the companies have worked with us on it and everything. The demand just went down for our standard cigar wrapper tobacco around here. And this year we're going to be in a cigar binder, PA 41. There is some Wisconsin stuff around here that another company buys. Just keep the stockpile there pretty much so you're not running out. And then we've had Connecticut broadleaf, TN 90, Maryland 609. I mean, it certainly opens up our knowledge of the tobacco industry when we had to think outside of our old ways. I'll tell you that. 'Cause,
Well, now too, you guys have to sort leaves, don't you?
Yep.
So certain leaves go here, certain leaves go
Yep.
there.
3 different grades and
Different grades. So it takes you longer to strip tobacco.
It does, and like I said, we're
Professional farm strippers.
There you go. Welcome to the strip house, right, John?
welcome to the script house.
Yeah, it's more time consuming. Labor costs are higher now than they used to be, and the product itself hasn't really gone up in price. So
Yep.
Still at the end of the day, you can't replace Top
No.
Gun Friday in the strip house.
Yep.
So. Now we got 2 to watch. Even. That's even better yet.
yeah, stripping tobacco is a lot different than the old days when you're listening to the AM radio. So
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all we had years ago.
yeah, so
Yeah, be quiet when Paul Harvey's on.
yeah.
Yeah, quiet down now.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have a TV on Sunday. We can watch football on there, or if we got DVD player, Jay's pretty good about keeping us up on the movies and stuff. So
No, I couldn't imagine.
yeah,
Yeah, and then we all moment of silence when Goose dies
Yeah.
every Friday
Yeah.
about 10 a.m. I'm still waiting for that day he lives.
Oh, yeah.
but it's just like tractor pulling. You just got to find a good group of guys to do it with, and it's
Paul loves
more
tobacco,
enjoyable.
too.
So
Yeah.
Paul
Just
loves
he loves
He's-
tobacco.
he's my
He-
main
he
number
jumps
one
right
guy.
in it on his way home.
yeah.
I mean, he climbs to the peak and he hangs all the
Yeah.
peaks for me.
Yep.
You notice he's more scarce then. For whatever reason. Yeah. Did you see him pulling the rabbit? No, I didn't.
No, I didn't see him. I see him go by, but I didn't see him pull in.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. During tobacco harvest season, he's the first one in the semi. He's
Oh,
been
yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
here since then. No,
Yeah.
I've been asleep.
Yeah,
early.
he's ready to go though.
Paul and John, they drive semi for us almost all the time to the polls. They're fantastic doing the semi driving and stuff for us. So, I'm getting a little bit on the old side, so they take over for me and stuff. So
You just close one eye now when Paul drives rather
I
than.
just lay in the back and just pray.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing better at it.
Oh, he's good at it and stuff.
Better at it.
Yeah,
We gotta give Paul grief a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah, so.
he does.
He's quiet right now, but
Yep.
we
Yeah.
shut that camera off and he'll be he'll
Yeah.
get the big 8-inch
Yeah.
grinder out
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
You know, how you're talking about first time driving, this earlier, we should have seen last year when Paul drove for the first time. I said, Paul, what's your biggest fear of driving this thing? And he goes, the front end coming off the ground, period. I said, I had the same, for Wapon's track, I had the same weight on the nose as Louisville.
Just to keep her down.
I said, I guess that's what we're going to have to do then. So.
It's different, ain't it?
It was a blur.
People
It was a
that
blur.
never drove anything like this put it all together to watch someone that drives at all times, like
Yeah.
putting on your favorite pair of shoes, and then now when you're in it and you've never done it, you got to put this all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front end comes up. I mean, it's like it drops you down and
I
lays you
wanted
back.
it- I want to steer it, but it was so fast. My biggest fear going on the track was, God damn it, I got to stop.
Yeah.
Sorry to French for that, but
Yeah.
I didn't think I was
Then
going to
the
stop.
hood looks like it's about 10 foot longer.
It
too.
Yeah.
does. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not used to a hood anyway.
Wapon's got the cement bricks down at the end, so they come pretty fast.
Pretty
So.
quick.
30
Yeah.
miles an hour.
Yeah.
That thing's coming up the curve. And you're just going, oh God, I'm going.
Yeah, he said when I pulled my first time, he's like, take it in while you can, because you're not going to remember it.
Yeah, I always say, if you remember your first run, you're lying.
Yep.
It's different, and I've been blessed. I've been able to drive a bunch of different stuff over the years, and thank you guys for letting me drive too. Just to drive all the different things that I've driven, and think about how they're all similar, but they're all different, and to put it all together to do that.
You did a great
It's-
job driving.
It's fun and that's cool,
Yep.
and there's not many people ever get that opportunity, and that go to polls all the time, and so yeah, that's very gracious.
Yep. And you did a great job of driving your brother's truck that night
That
down
was-
Utica.
that was-
fantastic.
That was crazy too, yeah.
Yep.
His buddy said, "Oh, you'll never get it lit." I don't know, you're not gonna get it lit.
Oh, I could justify that.
We got it lit.
I could justify by looking at the tack a couple times. John will get it lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when you drove a mini rod in Utica.
I drove mucks a couple
Mini
of
rut,
times
yep.
in Freeport.
Yeah, Freeport you drove too.
I think the
yeah.
first time I drove down to Utica, I ended up second.
Yep.
So, and whatnot. And, yeah.
Different.
That's different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're-
you're talking the big heavy girl versus the light with a lot of power. And I tell
Yeah.
you one thing, they whoop 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 whoop. whoop. So it's you got to really feel them things in your butt, and you got to know what's
do.
happening before
You gotta drive
it.
by the seat.
Yep, you got to feel it coming, because if
Yeah.
you don't feel it coming, it's too late. And
So this is one we always ask. Now that you guys have driven, if you had the opportunity to drive any pulling vehicle, truck, mod, tractor, whatever, what would you want to drive? This again? Super farm?
Yep.
How about you?
I would say a tractor for sure,
Tractor.
whether it be this or a pro stock or something like that. So trucks at the end of the day, it's still a truck,
Yeah.
There's something about being on two wheels in the air, and just lugging it down the track. So just
Trucks are, and that was the first time I drove truck too, where I'm used to front ends coming up or
yeah,
standing with the front end up, but in a truck like that, it's just the way they hook is just opposite of what you normally feel
Right.
in one of these. It is totally opposite.
Jared and John Lee Holden, or Jared Ripton, they've kind of explained that to me over the years. They said, and they haven't felt this though either. So
Right.
it's like, I've had some good talks with them guys over the years. They said you'd definitely have a different feeling if you were in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is totally different. I mean, you still feel the horsepower and the grunt, but
Yeah.
it's just different in how that truck hooks up and how it feels in the seat.
we need to get him on a pro stock once.
That's something you guys had a pro
Yeah,
stock.
I couldn't get him. I couldn't
we
get him.
So you guys had a pro stock for what, 3-4 years?
Yeah, we played with it for 3 years and stuff. And the worst thing about having two tractors in two different classes, you can't make the events.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I bleed this thing and stuff. This is my girl.
This old girl
and
here.
stuff. Yes, so.
She's still shiny too.
Oh yeah, she shines and stuff, and that's why we got rid of the pro stock and stayed this way and stuff. So
And it's a lot to
So you drove pro, then what would you want to drive?
Oh, you know, I just feel that it would be cool to roll into a heavy unlimited Elky Super once, just to feel when all them turbos come together, and you know, having the power to, you know, watch Terry Blackburn drive, and or Jeff Hurt, and you know, when they lay into them things. And I mean, there's enough power to sit there and just play with the throttle like this while you're mid-track. I mean, I just feel like that would be it'd be weird without the smoke, but the whole thing is that it's such a now, like, kind of feeling. I mean,
Power.
You've stood down by the track when they take off, and I mean, they're just, when they lighten that wheel speeds there, I'm like, and you know, a 30-inch tire, I think that'd be a heck of a ride one
I like
time.
watching them when they're bringing them up.
Yeah.
They just hover.
Watch this, guys, next time you watch them bring them up. But they start bringing them up, and you watch them start letting the clutch out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, here we go. And then, nope. They
Nope.
push that clutch back
Yep.
in again.
Yep.
So they load the motor just enough
Yep.
where they get the boost built. And once it starts building the boost, then that clutch comes out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun to watch how they do that.
They know how to drive
They
them.
know how they get it so far, and then they start loading the motor, and then you hear it.
Yeah.
And then after the first time I seen that, then I watched it more closely.
Watching Korth
Yep.
all them years. and-
Korth, yeah,
and
driving light
Blackbird,
super. That guy
and-
he was a hot shoe.
I mean, man, you know, I've been at the starting line with them guys, you know, in Louisville, in, you know, Toma and Hillsboroughs over the years, and you know, standing right there, man, you know, they do a real good job of videotaping these things, but when you're standing right there at a different angle and you see their footwork and what they're doing and playing with the throttle and putting all that together,
Power.
and you realize how much power they're taming. Like they tame the power. The drivers have to tame it.
Yeah,
Like
they
it's not a you know, there's so much more to it. And like I said, and you know, there's been some guys that drive Superfar before too that you know, you watch some of the seasoned vets as I have, you know, Punky and Creedy, and you know, I mean, the guys that I've watched over the years. I mean, even when I was younger, they made it look easy, and I had a heck of a learning curve. And, you know, it's and just about the time you got it figured out, you have that track where you go, well, what did I do that for? Like, you know,
Shouldn't have pulled that gear.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Been there, did that.
That was too slow. Well, that was too fast.
Or you just sit there and, you know, miss the chassis setup, and what just happened? Like, you know, and no, it's and you know, one example, Josh Blackbird, you know, he started driving Superfar a little bit, and he goes, God dang, he says, you really gotta, there's not a lot of room for error in this class. Like, you know, he said, you know, and
He's another one that can drive anything though.
yeah,
Yep,
actually,
And
he jumps
he
on
can
4
jump on
ones
something.
Yep.
Yep.
He can figure it out pretty quick.
Yep.
He's got that ability.
Oh, absolutely. And each class has their own tweaks as to how you got to drive.
Oh yeah, they're all different. You don't just drive one the same as the
Yep.
other. And
Yep.
that's the hard part, you know, figuring out when you're jumping from.
That was the hard
one to
part
another.
with this too back then when we had them both. This was running so good, and I could tell when I was driving them both that I was driving this one too hard compared to the Pro, and it was kind of, I wasn't being good at either one of them. Like, you know, and it was kind of, that's when Luke and Travis Wildman and whatnot, and Kurt drove down Darlington and whatnot, and that's when I had them drive for a little while when we were really into the points race and this, and I just wanted to focus on this because we weren't running points with the Pro anyway. So it was just it's hard to bounce back and forth the same night between two tractors because you got to clear your mind of what you just did with one, whether you won or not, and just switch over to the next mode, and it's hard to do.
So what would you want to drive then?
If I'm thinking of driving, I'm going to drive at the big starting line, tell them where to go. I'm not driving anything.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't want to drive anything.
Well, how about like 30 years ago? What would you want to drive then?
I would have loved to super farm 30 years ago and stuff. Pro stock at that time, I didn't know much about it, but watching, I'm going to go back to Larry Wolf. I loved watching Larry. Larry's pulling was fantastic. I don't know. I think I still got his picture up on the old toolbox. And I watched him really close, and I thought he was fantastic. And I would have loved to drove his tractor way back then.
He was smooth.
Oh yes,
The Wolfgang Warrior.
Wolfgang Warrior. Yep.
Matt Lemke's got it.
Yeah,
now.
Matt Lemke's got it.
I
yeah.
do believe he's going to come play a little more Badger State this year. I had a conversation
I
with
seen
him
him after he got it, or I seen the tractor. I didn't meet him, and I was down there announcing that pole in the River Rumble down there.
Yep.
Mazel.
Hazel.
No,
River Rumble.
it's a PI South Central Badger truck hook.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh,
So I was down there, I seen the tractor come out, and I'm like, man, I know this tractor. I know I've seen this tractor. I couldn't, where have I seen this tractor? And then all of a sudden, the old Wolfgang Warrior.
Yep.
And I didn't know that Larry had sold it.
Yeah.
we did.
So I haven't seen it, and
I got to mention one other thing besides Wolfgang. Watching Jimmy score years ago with the original Screaming Norwegian, fantastic. I mean, you just watched him. He did fantastic job on that thing and stuff. So
I got to
those
watch.
days were pretty wild to see.
Yep,
I'd love
yep.
to go back.
I'd like to see some of the videos again.
Yep.
Me and Punky did a thing at the Lions Club years
Yep.
ago.
For Cottage Grove.
Up in Cottage Grove and everything. And Jimmy and Noah had Noah had found a lot of old stuff and everything
Yeah.
to bring up there
Yep.
and stuff. That was really cool to see that. And me, when I was younger, I got, Larry, and then when Punky and Creedy were running, that's what I grew up, and that was always, like I said, Punky and Creedy, they had a heck of a thing with that white one for a long time. That was a well-known machine, no matter where she was at. And,
That was a good runner.
it was, and that's. But like I said, hey, you embrace the history, know where you came from, and it makes the future that much more exciting too.
Yeah.
That's
Get more people involved.
yeah.
More people involved.
There's kids that come up to me at polls nowadays that they pull up their Facebook page, and this is when I was 10 years old. Now they're 22, 23, and they've watched
Yeah.
me for that long now, and I'm like,
You're getting old.
that's easy, Rev.
The rest of us are okay.
Easy, Rev.
He's getting old.
Easy,
Paul
Rev.
was telling me about that the other day.
Yeah, he's shaved.
Your age is catching up to you a little bit.
He's shaved so he can't see his grade.
We prefer the people that are over 40, 45 years old prefer to call it chrome.
Chrome. I got a lot of
You
chrome.
can still do that because I'm not over 40 yet.
And you got chrome started, I said.
Hey, that's just the shine of the light in here.
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Well, thanks guys for letting me come over and hang out with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Nice
thank you.
visit, very nice.
A lot
and
of
stuff.
fun to
And
sit back
I'd
and-
like to thank the Badger State organization too, and all the fans, because they've put it together.
So mark your calendars, very first weekend in August, Utica Festival. Come on down and watch Badger State there and all the other classes, horse pulling.
Yep.
So check that out. And if anybody has any questions for these guys, go ahead and let us know. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Fun stopping out. Well, I think we're back live. Little technical difficulties going on after our video. Is Greg still here, Ryan? So I don't know what happened at the end of the video there, but I want to thank Smithbacks for letting us come out and visit with them and keep trying to do some more shop tours here before we get into the pulling season. And everybody's going to be getting busy here with the crops and stuff. So we'll try our best to do some visits yet and get them on here. We want to thank Front Street Toys, Casper Egg, Slama Enterprises, Trip Downing, and Wet and Camp Transport. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.